Men Want is a new comedy that is directed by Adam Shankman and Adam Shankman. That's actually kind of funny to me. I'm just saying that Adam Shankman is just like one of those perfect names. It's like one of those names that you can have when you go to a Halloween party dressed as a serial killer. It's one of those names that feels like you were born in a prison. It's just like one of those nicknames that stuck with you. Maybe you were born in a prison and then your mom, like, she got shanked right afterward. And then all of a sudden it just kind of stuck and you became Adam Shankman Barbaro or some shit like that. For anybody out there who's like, hey, don't judge his name's Adam Shankman, stop making fun of him. I don't want to hear that shit from any of you, okay? My name is Hannibal. Okay, think about what I had to go through. Think about the judgment I had to face with the name Hannibal coming up in school. Think about it. Can you imagine your teacher doing a double take every time she gets to your name for roll call? Like, she's just sitting there in her class. She's like, Kyle Miller, here. Brianna Miles, here. Hannibal Miller? We have a Hannibal Miller in here? Of course, I have to go, yeah, here, I'm here. And then the rest of the class gets to go, holy shit, your name is Hannibal. This is going to be so much fun. How many people have you eaten today? Eventually, once I got to high school, I just started having fun with the shit. You're trying to flirt with girls in high school, it's a conversation starter at the very least. You're talking to a girl in high school, and then the girl finds out your name. She's like, oh my god, your name's Hannibal? Ooh, don't eat me. How many people have you eaten? To which I go, oh, well, you know, I've only eaten like 2 or 3 people today, but if you give me your number, I'm pretty sure you'll find out how good of an eater I am. And then the girl's kind of taken aback. She's kind of like, oh my god, no, that is... You know what? Here's my number. You know what? I also feel like we're off track here. Let's actually get back to the movie. So What Men Want is essentially the same thing as What Women Want. It stars Taraji P Henson, Erykah Badu, Aldous Dodge, Tracy Morgan, among other people. The movie's no different. It's essentially just a gender swap. Taraji P Henson plays a sports agent who works at this competitive sports agency. She's constantly passed over for partnerships and promotions. So she tries to go after one of the big fish in the NBA, goes to a bachelorette party, and then she drinks some tea, and then suddenly the next day she can hear men's thoughts. Like, she can hear everything that men are thinking. She, of course, tries to use this to her advantage, and then there you go. We have a movie. A movie that's supposed to have a little bit of comedy, a little bit of charm, a little bit of a message. You know, it's supposed to have a little bit of something for everybody. You know what this movie had for me going into it? Taraji P Henson. That's really the only reason this movie was on my radar at all. And I say that because Taraji P Henson is not only a great and talented actress, but I also say that because she's one of those black don't crack women that's just like perpetually gorgeous. She's always going to be on the she can get it list. To me, the holy trinity of the black don't crack list is Nia Long, and then you've got Sanaa Lathan, and then you've got Taraji. To me, that's the holy trinity. There's a lot of other beautiful, gorgeous black women who are part of that list as well. But to me, that's the holy trinity. I'm just like, they forever. It doesn't matter how old they get. It doesn't matter what time of day. They can get it. That's how I feel about Taraji P Henson. So I go into this movie thinking, yeah, okay, I'm going to get Taraji P Henson. That's what I want. And I don't know if that's what men want. Like, some men might look at Taraji and be like, it's not really my cup of tea. I would respond, well, I don't want your cup of tea then. Your cup of tea sounds flavorless. It sounds tasteless. It sounds like unsweetened tea. Why the fuck would I drink unsweetened tea? Okay, unsweetened tea is essentially colored water. It's water with Crayola in it. I don't want that shit. You can tell Taraji's tea, at the bare minimum, is going to be sweet. At least you're giving me something different. To the point, Taraji P Henson was actually pretty good in this movie as far as performances go. She was really good. She brought a lot of really great charm and a lot of good humor to the role, even in a movie that was kind of hit or miss in terms of laughs. I like the concept of this movie. I like the idea of getting inside a woman's head and getting inside a man's head and figuring out what each side wants, because essentially that's what we're doing when we're talking about relationships, right? We're just trying to figure out what the other person wants so that we can give them what they want so that we can be happier and they can be happier. I like the premise. I like the concept of this movie. I liked it 19 years ago with What Women Want, and I think it's an interesting idea for 2019. And again, Taraji P Henson, she's the one thing in the movie that makes it worthwhile. I would say that most of the other performances in the movie are also pretty good. Everybody does a solid job here. For me, one of the highlights of the movie actually wasn't the jokes. It was actually the fact that we got some really cool cameos in here. Because it's a movie that takes place in and around a sports agency, you get a lot of cool cameos. Shaq shows up, Grant Hill shows up, Karl Anthony Towns shows up, Mark Cuban shows up, and it was just kind of awesome to see for me as a sports fan. It was average to me because I feel like they really didn't do anything interesting or new or funny with this premise. They did the same thing that we've seen before 19 years ago with What Women Want, and they essentially, other than the gender swap, it doesn't really bring anything new to the table. The concept of the movie itself is interesting, just like it was interesting 19 years ago, but if you're going to bring together the familiar concept, and if you're going to do it the same exact way that you did it before, try to do something to freshen it up. Try to do something that makes makes it more of a character study. I don't know, something, anything to make it seem like it's just the same movie except with a woman instead of a man. In that sense, the movie feels very safe. It feels very watered down, very generic. It just feels like your basic comedy where a woman gets to walk around the whole movie and she gets to hear what men are thinking. It's like, okay, that's cool, but they don't really explore that in any meaningful or deep way. It somehow has less substance than the original. And in addition to that, I gotta say that most of the jokes in the movie, like I said, they're hit or miss, and a lot of them are really missed. This is one of those movies where you can tell that a lot of the people writing it feel like they're ad-libbing it. People in this movie feel like they're improvising, and sometimes that can work, and sometimes there are great comedic actors who can improvise a scene and make it funnier. Sometimes it comes across as very forced, very awkward, and very painfully improvised, and it doesn't flow together, and it makes the scene feel very choppy and very junky. I don't know, I walked out of it feeling like, it wasn't that funny, it was kind of charming, it had a decent message, but overall, I could miss this movie. Taraji did her best, but she couldn't save this movie from being generic, and I'm going to give What Men Want my average rating in the Fortress of Solitude. It's further proof that a good premise and a good concept doesn't always equal a great movie. It's an entertaining enough-ish movie if you want to check it out, though. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on What Men Want. So if you've seen this movie and you've seen the original, tell me which one is your favorite. Put that in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace!